Real estate rock stars, it's Sarah Denig. And today I had the pleasure of interviewing Amanda Williams, who is just lived everywhere. She's from North Carolina. She's in Texas now, but she has really crafted a code on resiliency and various streams of income. So interesting to hear how she doesn't even help people buy and sell houses anymore. She's in the short-term rental game. She's in the Airbnb game. She's a past flipper. She's has speaking gigs. It's kind of doing it all and really makes it look easy. Listen to this one. Let us know what you think. So good. Hey, real estate rock stars. It is Sarah Denig from Indiana. And today I'm with Amanda Williams, AKA Amanda, the Traveling Realtor. And she is based currently out of Austin, Texas. However, it sounds like she's kind of all over the world. So we are so excited to have you, Amanda. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yes, of course. I was skimming your Instagram before we got on the call here, and I have just kind of been looking over your bio, and wow, I mean, you have a lot going on, and I cannot wait to dig into all the things. Let's get started with tell us kind of how you got into real estate, what you got your hands in, and all that good stuff.
Well, if you want to take it all the way back, I got into real estate back right before the crash. So 2006, 2007, started educating myself with an educational company back then in California. I got into the market. I lost everything. I lost my IRA, lost it all. And then a few years later, I came in back into the market as a private money lender for one of my
Oh,
girlfriends. She was flipping houses and I was like, I want to do that, but I don't have any time, but I have some money. And so I started doing that. And that was in 2009. And then 2013, I ended up moving. That was in California. I ended up moving to North Carolina, which is where I'm originally from. And I told my friend Christy, I said, I need my money. I'm going to go flip houses myself now. And that's what I did. And I moved back and I opened a real estate company and started flipping. And then a lot of creative financing, started buying a lot of rental properties, and just it goes on from there.
you make it sound so easy, but there's so much to unpack there. Where to start? Okay, so you got initially into flipping and you were financing that through hard money lending. How did you get the courage, and tell me about how you kind of acquired that first flip? And it sounds like you were already licensed at this point. So kind of who introduced you to that?
Well, so for 3 years, I was the hard money lender for my girlfriend in California.
Okay.
So when I was in town, maybe once a month or maybe twice a month, I would go to her projects and just kind of oversee and just learn, like be a fly on the wall. And I
Mm-hmm.
did that for years. And then when I moved back to North Carolina in 2013, that's when I took the money that I had with her and I started doing my own flips. So I did my first one, I self financed. And then after that, we kind of revved it up a little bit. We were doing multiple properties per month. And so yes, I was using private money at that time. There was a couple of people that were there locally in Raleigh that knew who I was, and so I got some really great partners for that.
So how did you even know or have the confidence in what percent to charge her to hard money lend? Like, did you just read about it and think, oh, 12%? Or what did you do there?
So, well, we were in this real estate educational program together. So we spent 2 years going to classes,
Oh,
at least once a week, and then every quarter we were there for a week, and we were doing like college credits on real estate investing. It was
oh,
crazy.
wow.
It doesn't exist anymore. It was called Nouveau Riche University back then.
What
And
was it?
it's called Nouveau Riche
Okay.
University. Yeah, so it's gone. The crash got it,
Mm.
but it was a really great program, and so we learned, we took classes on hard money lending and, creative financing and flipping and wholesaling and subject to and tax liens, and, we took classes on all of it, and so when you're doing that, you kinda have to take a step back and be like, "Okay, what do I actually wanna focus on?" Because at that
Mm.
point, you're just, like, fire hosed. But 2 years is a long time to study, And, I got into a little bit during that 2-year time, which, like I said, I lost it all. But it was great learning experiences.
Yeah, unfortunately, we learn the most from those really hard times. And those are the life lessons that you just don't forget. But hopefully you don't make that mistake twice. So the game of life is very interesting.
Yeah.
So you're doing the flipping. So what's your kind of favorite thing? Because I know you're in the short-term rental. I actually got on your YouTube and I was kind of looking through your video and I was like, wow, this is a really interesting model. So if I understood the video right, so you're still helping people buy and sell, but you also have a part of your business where you have a short-term furnished rental that you could put somebody in so they don't feel like a gun to their head when they're moving. Did I get that right?
Yeah, yeah, you
That's
did.
crazy.
So back in 2017, I'll kind of take you through the story. So in 2017, I ended up um, joining a company, EXP Realty. I own my own real estate firm, but then I joined EXP in 2017 because I needed some partners. I needed some real estate partners pretty much all around the world at that point. And then in 2018 is when we started our short term rental business. And so we decided we were flipping houses. And so we decided to keep some of those properties and do cash out refis on those. So then we did that. We kept a few of those. Those all turned into short term rentals. At the time, we were doing Airbnb. And then, one thing led to another. I ran out of money. And I was like, how
Wow.
else can I get these properties? And so that's whenever we decided to go in the direction of rental arbitrage, which is where you rent a property from the landlord. Let's just say it's an unfurnished home. You rent it for $2,000 a month. And then you go in, you furnish the property, you put utilities in, you do all the marketing, and then you rent that same property for, let's just say, $4,000 a month or $5,000. So you're subleasing it. So you're making the cushion in between. And so that's how we grew so quickly.
Mhm.
And fast forward to 2020, obviously there was some bumps in the road with COVID. And I started having people coming in from New York at that point, and they were like, hey, we love North Carolina. We want to stay here for 6 months and a year, and we want to start buying houses here. And I'm like, oh my God, this is a brilliant business model. So we had already built kind of a junky website, but at that point, we built a really nice website. By the way, this was my third website I had built. Make sure to hire someone professional when you're doing this.
Pro tip.
Uh, yeah, just go for the pros. Don't worry with the people who are cheap. So third website we built for our furnished rental business, which is called Carolina Furnished Rentals. And we just kind of blew it up at that point. And my whole process at that point was I'm going to market to people who are relocating to North Carolina.
Mhm.
So they're going to come in. We're going to offer them this beautiful program, this live like a local. Don't be forced into buying a house quickly.
Mhm.
Make a decision based on like you actually being here for a little while and getting to know the neighborhood. And then one of my agents will then help you buy a home here in Raleigh. And then one of my agents will help you sell your home wherever you're moving from. So I have a very large network of agents that work with me with EXP in California. So I
Mhm.
target California. So they sell their house in California. We list their house in California. They come to North Carolina. They rent from me for a few months, however long they need. And
Mhm.
then we sell them a house in North Carolina. So that's my whole process.
That's a lot of dipping. That's a lot of dips.
A lot of dips. I like the
I
dip.
love that. And I think what's really interesting about that too is it kind of gives you the opportunity to date the city before you commit. Because, when I'm showing a buyer a house, and especially when they're transplants and moving here to Indiana, I'm a little biased for my area, but there are other great areas in the surrounding too. And I always get on like Waze or maps and I'm like, okay, let's see what your grocery store would be. What are you into? Do you like yoga? Do you like the gym? Do you need trails? Are you a biker? Like, let's kind of look at it from 30,000, degree out miles out to see, let's go hyper local with what you're into. And then, do you need this vegan restaurant? Because there's not a lot, like just really trying to match make their personality with the perfect home. And I think that your model if it's in, the right area and you can take it one step further and find that perfect person for that area, you are going to increase your business because they're going to buy, sell all those things hyper local right there. So that's actually really brilliant. I
Yeah.
love that. And I don't know anybody else who's doing that.
I haven't heard of anyone else doing it.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm teaching it now, but yeah,
Okay.
it was just something like we fell into it. And you're smart to do that because the thing is, like, I saw a problem. I started talking to people in North Carolina who had moved from California, and I immediately relate to them because I spent 9 beautiful years in California.
Hmm.
And so we start talking, and I'll start asking about their house. And a lot of them were like, yeah, we kind of came in for a weekend and we bought this house, and it's in Wendell, which is like in the middle of a field, like 30 minutes outside of Raleigh. But they didn't really know like anything about that area. And so now they're stuck in this area of Raleigh that they were told that's only 30 minutes to Raleigh, but you are pretty much in the middle of fields. Like there's really not a lot of stuff out there when they could have been on the other side of Raleigh in
Hmm.
Apex, which is like farmers markets and yoga and like all the cool stuff. You're not going to find any of that in Wendell, but it's the
Yeah.
exact same amount of time to get to downtown Raleigh.
And now they're going to move and pay capital gains.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's really crazy. How are you managing these different pocket businesses financially? Like, does each business have a QuickBooks that you feed into, or how do you network that?
Well, so the Carolina Furnished Rentals, so that's all of the rental income is going into that. And then I have my other company, AG Williams Realty. And that's where all the like commission income would come into that. If they were buying or selling a house, then all of the referrals. I actually don't purchase, I don't help people buy or sell houses anymore.
Oh, you
Um,
don't?
no, I refer all of that business to my agents. I moved to Mexico in 2020 and I haven't sold a house since.
Oh, wow.
So I'm just strictly a referral agent.
Okay. What took you to Mexico?
COVID.
Oh, there.
Yeah. Well, COVID hit, and then like 3 months later, I travel with a group of investors and we just go and mastermind 3, 4 times a year. And so we were all stuck in our houses and our friends called and they were like, you want to go mastermind in Cabo? And I'm like, yes. And so we went, and that was in June. Um, we did not take our flight home after that, and we didn't come back until December. And we decided to just come back and pack our stuff and go back. And we bought a car and leased a house, and for
You're
fast
like
forward 4
Freebird.
more
You're just,
years.
you're going where you go. I love it. Like
Well,
the
the
ultimate
beautiful thing
Disney.
is everything that I do online. I do it all on Zoom. So I don't
Mhm.
have to be in an area.
Mhm. So you don't have to buy and help clients buy and sell houses anymore because you have put these structures in place that let you live your best life, it sounds like.
Well, this is what I think about when I think like,
Mhm.
yeah, I could go back to North Carolina. I could personally help these people buy houses. But honestly, when you look at like the time that you're spending on that, I'm I'm very mindful about when I spend time on something, I want it to pay me more than one time.
Mhm.
So if I go sell a house, that's going to pay me one time.
Yeah.
If I spend that
Yeah.
time working on creating an online program or getting another rental property or doing something like that, that's going to continue to pay me again and again and again.
Mhm.
So I really don't want to help people buy and sell houses anymore. I would rather refer that business out to my agents. My agents are happy because they got a referral. And honestly, it's a better use of my time. I actually make more per hour by referring it versus actually keeping that lead for myself. Does that make
Yeah.
sense?
That's super smart, and I think that that's the beauty of real estate is, if you can think it, you can do it, and there's no ceiling there, and I think that that's really cool that, you figured out where you shine, what makes you the most profit, and then double down, and, it's just, a whole nother way to trailblaze this market, and I think that as I hear you talk, like, the word that keeps coming to my mind is, "Wow, this girl's really resilient." And it sounds like it hasn't always been a walk in the park and you've had a couple losses, but it's those entrepreneurs that really, don't stay in that low and they just think bigger and they figure out something else. And I think that the big thing is finding the gap in the market and the gap in finding a problem and finding the solution. And those are the people who really win. So kudos to you. That's awesome.
Thank you. Yeah, it's find the problem and solve it, right?
Yep.
And niche out. I'm a
Yeah.
big believer in niching out too.
Yeah. So what brought you to Texas?
So, I have a lot of friends here. I've recently started dating a guy who lives
Oh,
here.
tell me more.
So
Forget
we'll
this
see how
real
that
estate
goes.
stuff. Come on.
I haven't told anyone on social media, so here we go.
Uh,
So yeah, that, and then I have a lot of friends actually here, and just being here, I've only been here for a month, and it's just amazing to me at how many people that I already knew who's
mhm.
in this industry as well with me. And now I'm going and I'm speaking, at their events, and we're doing all kinds of fun stuff. And then being part of the GoBundance Women Mastermind group. I mean, there's like a huge group here. And then I just found out I'm a platinum partner with Tony Robbins. So in 2023, I spent the year traveling around with him and like a little group of people. And so now I just found out there's like a huge network of platinum partners from Tony Robbins here in Austin too. So that I didn't have that in Cabo. I
Yeah.
had a very small group of expats. We all kind of did different things. We all worked online pretty much. But here it's just so inspiring, and there's so many networking events and just things to do. So I'm loving it so far.
But wait, there's more. Yeah. I mean, I love Austin. I think we're there a couple times a year through the mastermind and that kind of stuff. What exactly is a platinum member with Tony Robbins? Like, what does that mean? Obviously, we all know Tony Robbins. He's amazing. But what does that mean? And how did you get that title?
It just means you pay a lot of money to travel around the world. Who is Tony?
I love it.
And his people, right? So there's 400 people that can become a platinum partner. It's like his highest level of partnership. And so it gets you access to all of the events. It gets you access to 4 like special events with him per year. Like this, it's a very tight knit community.
Mhm.
And so there's like mastermind calls and all kinds of stuff. And so, yeah, it's like 85 grand to join for the year. And then you pay for all the extras. So like all the trips and all that stuff, which comes out to be about 140, 150 for the year. But
Wow.
it's full immersion, right? Like you spend a year with Tony, and I didn't have a house for that whole year. I literally just like put everything away and traveled. I did 14 countries that year, and
Wow.
I didn't really work. I mean, I worked on myself. I did a lot of self growth and self love, and just like I had some medical issues too. So I was working on my medical issues that year. And it was just, now that I'm out of it, I was like, oh my God, that was like such a beautiful time. But honestly, you're talking about like the entrepreneur roller coaster. I joined the platinum program because I was thinking, oh, I got to get my business to the next level. These
Mhm.
are people who have the money to spend on something like this. So they obviously have businesses that are successful. So I wanted to surround myself with those people. Well, once I got in, I quickly found out that many of us joined that program because there was something personal going on in our lives, whether it be a divorce or breakup or like something tragic had happened. And so we kind of all went towards that program, and it was beautiful. But when I got out of that, I was like, oh, it's been a year and I haven't really worked on my business. And so now, I'm back into the business side of things. And that's where GoBundance Women came in. And
Mhm.
I'm like, oh my gosh, these are women who actually are working on their business
Mhm.
versus they're like, yeah, you can work on yourself, but it's more about your business. And that's what I need right now.
Yeah. Well, that's all really amazing. And, what an opportunity because you think about the amount of people who could actually A, afford to do that, B, leave their business, leave their families, like take that opportunity. And Tony Robbins, he was our keynote speaker last year at like Keller Williams. I don't think it was like family reunion or something. And yeah, I mean, he is a powerhouse and he is like super tall too, isn't he? Like that dude's tall. Um, but yeah, that's crazy. And I do think, health is wealth all day long. I'm former, in medicine and quit practicing for real estate. And at the end of the day, you know, it's the holistic thing, and I think that probably GoBundance is very, full circle. You have to fill up all your cups. It's not just all one thing. And I know, Aaron being a GoBundance member and Matt King and, knowing them and listening to them speak and talk to them, like that has really bled into real estate rock stars as well. And I think and you're coming this year, so we're so excited. And I think that it shouldn't all be about business. It's all aspects of your life, because you can't show up for work if you're not taking care of yourself and you don't have a good mental health. And that's why, we've taught the Miracle Morning, and at our events we'll have a yoga day and we'll have a 5K day, and then we'll have a go out and have fun and drinks day, because it's whatever you're into. I think that it just has to be a balance, and it can't be a tug of war. And I think all of us are constantly we're trying to find this homeostasis of the balance, but inevitably we're human and life happens and health happens and you get pulled in tug of war. And then as soon as you get off kilter, you're like, oh my gosh, things are pouring out of my cup. And then you have to reevaluate. So it's a constant work of reflection and checking in with yourself and not going down these rabbit holes. Unfortunately, what's really hard for the entrepreneur is that to make things really work, it's a grind, and it's so easy to get off of that homeostasis. So it's constantly trying to surround yourself with the right kind of people, read the right kind of stuff, turn off the news, and fill up your cup, whatever that looks like for you. It's just the game of life. It's crazy.
Yeah. And you're so preaching my language. I completely burned out
Mhm.
in late 2022, and lots of crazy things happened. And that's led me down like this whole wellness route. So now I'm hosting like wellness retreats for short-term rental hosts and stuff. And that fills my cup because,
Mhm.
I'm like, how do I marry wellness and real estate and travel? And I think I've kind of figured it out at this point, which is really cool. But
I'm subscribing. Tell me more.
well, I mean, it's a matter of like building your portfolio to where you're hitting that monthly nut, whatever that is. Everything, all your bills are paid with that thing.
Mhm.
And then anything on top is just like icing on the cake. And then at that point, you've got your wellness activities that you do, and I love that you mentioned the Miracle Morning. I love that. And then also with traveling, I'm a huge believer in taking like sabbaticals, like a few months at a time, going and traveling and really like submerging yourself into the culture. Because going for a week vacation, to me, I'm still revved up after a weekend. Like I
Mhm.
that's not gonna be
Especially with the
relaxing
time
to me.
zone differences. Ooh.
Yeah, the first couple of days, you're like out, and then you're like, "Okay, I gotta work," and then it's like, "Okay, no, I'm not working." But, if you're there for, let's just say 3 weeks minimum, then you actually will kinda settle in
Mhm.
and get to know that local community. And another thing with the traveling, like, the 14 countries in a year was dumb. Like, that was a lot. But I think with the traveling part, just picking a spot and just kinda staying in that spot. Maybe taking a train around, but don't try to go to, like, 5 countries in a month type of thing, because that's you're gonna come back even more stressed.
Yeah. Yeah. So, that all sounds so amazing. And it's like so aspirational of a place that, everyone would want to get. But for the agent that is trying to make ends meet, to the agent who is selling one house a year and trying to scale up, who's Ubering on the side to make this all work, what advice would you give them looking back to get to this level where you can have the luxury to take off and go to 14 countries in a year? Like, what are those early tips that you would give them?
I would say just switch your thinking, right? So there's 2 ways to go about it. There's the one way to go about it, which is like sell more houses, right? But can figure out what your niche is. So is it going to be building out a YouTube channel? Is it going to be farming neighborhoods? Like what is your niche? And get really, really good at that niche. And then building a little sales team. And only hire A players and have them go out. That way you're making some money on other people's efforts. That's the
Mhm.
first thing. Like that's actually like the real estate sales side of the business. The other side of the business is start to build your portfolio. If you don't have any money and you have an interest in short-term rentals that you can, by the way, use to generate leads for your real estate business, then you don't actually have to buy the property. You could go rent the property. Yeah, that's going to take some money. You're probably going to be like $10,000 to $15,000 out of pocket. Or you could go find someone, a landlord who wants to make more money on their property besides just having like a normal unfurnished rental property. And you could have them furnish the property, which you're going to tell them how to furnish the property. And then you get, let's just say 20% of whatever that property is renting for. So as an example, I've got some landlords, we're renting their house, one of these houses for $5,000 a month, and we make 20%. So we're making $1,000 a month. Guess how much money I have in that house? I don't have any.
Wow.
I'm literally just marketing the property for them. And so that's a way that someone, if you want to get into something that's going to bring some income coming in, and I'm not going to say it's passive because it's not passive income. It's
Mm.
leveraged income. You are actively managing guests checking in and checking out and like all the things. If you're doing, short-term rental, it's going to be a lot of work. It might not be worth it for you if you're throwing it on Airbnb because that's a lot of work. But if you're doing a midterm rental market, which is a 30-day stay, a monthly stay, you're literally going to give them the check-in instructions. You're going to make sure they know how to work the coffee pot and the TV and like all the things. And they're going to be there for at least a month. So my average client stays for 3 months at a time. And the only thing you're doing is obviously you're checking in to make sure everything's good with them. Not very much, like let them live their life. But every 30 days, you are sending a new lease to them and the owners. And then you are sending the invoices to them to pay the owners. And then you're sending an invoice to the owner to pay you. You've got 3 activities to do that month, and you're making $1,000 a month. And that's with marketing, managing the properties.
Okay, so if you're a newer agent, or whatever, wherever you're at in your business, you're saying that you can you find landlords, right? And how are you finding those landlords initially?
I love Zillow.
Okay.
Zillow, you can find landlords who personally list their properties for rent. I haven't been super successful with properties that are listed by property management companies or real estate agents because it's just another gatekeeper. It's for the person to get through, and they don't really
Mhm.
get it, so
Yeah,
it's
because
much
this is
easier.
new to me. I'd be like, "What? You want to do what with my client?"
Yeah, exactly. So you have to go directly to the owner, pitch them the idea. It's nice to have a track record. Like if you've ever had rental properties or if you've had a friend or a family member that's had rental properties, it's nice to kind of throw I have a lot of scripting around this, but it's nice to like throw some stories out to make them feel comfortable with you and all of that. But yeah, it's totally possible. I mean, don't just like educate yourself. Right? Don't get out
Yeah.
there and just like start winging it. But there's a lot of people teaching this. I teach it. And actually get out there and make a plan to do it.
So what's
Find the
that script look
properties.
like? Hey, I'm a local realtor. Do you want to hit the easy button on your rentals? What I can do is take that off your hands, manage it, and keep your income streaming. However, I'm going to take 20%. And we're also going to improve your value we're going to stage it, furnish it. I'm going to do all of that for you. And we're going to increase the rent. And you're actually going to make more money. And so am I.
Yeah. So, Mr. Landlord, right now you want $2,000 a month for this property. I actually am a real estate agent here in the area. I want to be able to market this property to my guests who are coming in, who are thinking about potentially buying here. Obviously, that's going to feed my real estate business. And so, how would you feel about if I helped you furnish this property, make it beautiful? We get some really nice pictures, really nice marketing. We get this up and going as a midterm rental. This is a 30-day stay type property. So these are properties that are rented from relocation companies, corporate clients, insurance claim clients, contract workers. I mean, the list goes on. But what we're going to do for me is I want to be able to market this to my clientele. So instead of being able to get $2,000 a month on this property, which is what you're asking for right now, I can actually get $5,000 a month for this property. So they're paying you $5,000 and then I will take 20% because I'm actually going to be doing everything. I'm doing the marketing, I'm doing the leases, I'm making sure you're getting your money. And so yeah, so the 20%, so that's your $1,000 and it's really like the cleanings, what the questions that you're going to get is like, well, what about the cleaning and what about this and what about the maintenance? You're gonna pay for the cleaning because the guest is gonna pay for the cleaning. So it's a straight wash.
Mhm,
You are still the owner. So yes, you are paying for the maintenance. You're paying like if there's a water leak or whatever.
mhm.
So there's a whole script that goes with that, but that's pretty much it, right?
Yeah.
And you're just having a real conversation with them. And when they look at the numbers, because yeah, they're gonna have to spend 10 grand to furnish the property, but they're gonna make that back.
So, not to play devil's advocate, but what happens if you do all the furnishing and you have them pay for all of it, and then you get all the pictures and you're paying for all of that, and then you don't get $5,000 a month? Then what happens?
You get $4,000 a month, then you only make $800.
Okay. And
Yeah.
then what if are you putting something in the contract that you'll be reimbursed for your time if for some reason they get a tenant that comes in and wants a 2-year contract and that just makes more sense to them?
Yeah. Yeah. So we have, I think it's a $2,500 termination fee on it. And then we also have, if we do get someone who comes in for 2 years, then we are guaranteed. I think we dropped it to 10% because they take over the management side of it. But that's still our client. So then it would drop to 10%. So they would still owe us that.
So how many of those are you doing a year, or how many of those are you actively managing?
I think I have 12 right now.
Okay. So that's
Yeah.
one stream of income, right?
Mhm.
And then you're kind of teaching that as a course as well.
Really? So
I
at this
just went to your
point,
Instagram and signed up for something. Tell
I
me
have a
about
lot of
that.
things to sign up for. So I used to teach. I have a course. I don't push it anymore, but I teach people how to like start that business, right? So how to go talk to the landlords, how to do all that. That's a
Okay.
course. You can find it. It's called the Halo Method. I'm not focused on that right now. I'm focused on helping people who have at least 5 Airbnb properties, and we are transitioning them from just being on the Airbnb platform and booking nightly stays to actually building out a website, a local brand, getting all of your social medias backlinked, creating all of your content, creating an actual real business, and then
Mhm.
marketing that business to all of the different midterm rental companies, like the corporate companies, relocation companies. And then we're changing them from nightly stays to monthly stays. So that's what I'm doing now. I have a beta group going right now and freaking awesome. And these people are starting to transition over because a lot of Airbnb hosts, they don't understand that Airbnb can kick you off the platform at any point in time without notice. I was kicked off for
The
2 years.
TikTok of Airbnb.
Yeah, I mean, seriously, I literally did not have an account for 2 years, and now I know why, and now I'm, like, shouting it from the rooftops, right? But people don't understand that.
Yeah, I think that the big thing there too is like, don't put all your eggs in one basket because you just never know. You don't have control over everything, and you have to have a pivot and a backup plan all the time because inevitably things are going to change. We were just talking about this with somebody yesterday about how AI has changed so many games and so many people, like Stager is going out of business and so many different things that are happening. But it's like, you got to have a backup plan. You still need to see what's going to happen there. And I think that's so brilliant. And I think a lot of people, you don't know what you don't know. And you get into the Airbnb game and you're like, damn, this is a lot of work. And constantly trying to be a super host and have those reviews. And it just is a lot. And then, I mean, Austin put some kind of ban on Airbnbs, didn't they, recently? So, like, even the government can control these type of things. And that was your long term plan. So, I think having a plan B and a transition out of it, and that probably is a lot easier and makes a lot more sense. I also really think it would be cool, and you could be doing this too, but um, partnering with some nursing companies. There's a lot of travel nurses who get a nice stipend and they take 3-month assignments. And a lot of my friends have done this. And, I used to be a nurse, and that's how a lot of people saw the world. They wanted to travel and they wanted to do it on that dime. So if you could get in with a hospital or, I usually have a lot of residents in my rentals because it's close to the hospital. And those are solid renters because they work all the freaking time and they're never there and they always pay their rent. So, it's just finding the avatar. And we talk about that a lot, finding the avatar who's going to flourish your business and doubling down on that.
Absolutely. You just hit the nail on the head. And if you're going after traveling nurses, you're going after studios to one bedrooms. They're not going to rent anything over two bedrooms. They're going to need certain things. They're going to need blackout curtains. They're going to need like a bat stand. They're going to sometimes need like noisemakers, stuff like that.
So
For
thoughtful.
traveling nurses. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's just creating that home environment, whatever that is. But it's just creating that lifestyle and then making the home around that. So it's awesome.
Yes.
Crazy. So what else do you have going on? I did see that you're getting AI certified. Is that ongoing still?
Yeah, it's a very long program. I'm almost done. I've been in AI for March will make 2 years now. I've been in this program for almost a year now. So we're almost done with it. And yeah, AI certified, it just means I can go into a business. I have all the tools and the backups to actually analyze a business and see where they're missing, like in each department, right? So, like in your marketing department, what are your systems? And then how can we implement AI into that to make those systems better? So yeah, that's what I've been working on, and it's just eye opening. And that's really the program that I'm doing now with my group that's going through like transitioning from Airbnb to their actual businesses with
Mhm.
midterm rentals. We're implementing a lot of AI into that business as well because there's so many things you could do that just like speed up the process now using AI. And so it's been awesome.
You know what else would be really cool is, Cody Sanchez, and she implements these buying boring businesses and, buys a business that's already established and maybe the kids don't want to take it over. And she goes in and buys it and systemizes it and, brings technology to life. It would be really interesting if you could find a gap where someone wanted to buy a book of Airbnb or a book of short term rentals and they were getting out of that and somehow implementing AI to find that and then take over, that business and really blow it out of the water. So it has max exposure. So you're not leaning on companies like Airbnb. You're leaning on your own type of referral system that you're pulling those people in, and then somehow getting it out to the travel nurses or the people that you see want to do internships. There's just so many different ways you could go through that process. It's interesting.
Yeah, it is. It's exciting. The sky is the limit on this thing.
Yeah, I know. But you got to have your mindset clear to have these ideas come, right? You can't have all this weight on your back of all the life's drama, and you have to be in a good mindset to even start thinking through these type of things.
Mhm. Definitely. Yes.
So what's next for you?
Oh, what's next? So let's see. I'm actually here in Austin for this whole month, and then back to Cabo I go. I host events, so got a few events in Cabo. We've got some short term rental events in Colorado. I'm hosting a retreat in Colorado, and yeah, I might be doing a retreat in Switzerland. So there's going to be a lot of
Wow.
traveling coming up. Have another event in Spain in June. So yeah.
You make it sound so like, oh, so easy. Who's vetting these how are you doing all this? Like who's finding the audience that's gonna come listen and booking the venues and coming up with content? Like, how does that all happen?
Well, I mean, I'm not hosting the actual big events with like hundreds of people. I'm just speaking at those events. So I
Okay.
get the easy part there. I just show up and speak. So that's like, Hospitable Host Summit and VRMO and like all of the different short-term rental and mid-term rental summits. There's like a whole world of short-term and mid-term rental conferences going on, like completely around the world. I'm speaking in Australia in October for a short-term rental thing, in April in London, like, and they just come at you and they just want you to speak. And so I do that. And then obviously, I get clients who want to go through my program. So that's why I'm doing that. Right. And so, yeah, I'm doing that. And then As far as the retreats go, I do host those and I plan the entire thing. But honestly, it's a rinse and repeat. It doesn't matter where I'm hosting those retreats. I can always find someone who's a specialist in breath work and sound bowls and yoga. And someone always brings in like a tub for ice baths. We do that. We do
Mhm.
hot cold therapy. And then we do mastermind sessions. And so all I need is a whiteboard and super easy. I mean,
That's
it's easy because I've been doing it, I guess. There's like a system. You just like kind of plug in your location into that system and then you roll with it.
yeah. Well, I can tell that you're passionate about it, and it sounds like so much. And you're saying it's easy, but I'm sure it's because you have systemized this, and you get joy out of it, and it's bringing you happiness, and and it's giving back to agents, and you're probably capturing some of those agents in your downline too, because a lot of people aren't used to people talking about things like this. It's you go to your meetings, and it's all about how much should you sell this month. So I could see how that's a whole nother niche. So interesting. So add the speaker to the other stream of income. So cool.
Yeah.
I think
And then,
one of the big take what'd you say?
and then you've actually brought up a good point, which I haven't even brought up. I mean, there's EXP. I've got a few hundred agents in my organization with EXP. So that spreads across 32 states and five countries.
Wow.
So, that's access to multiple different areas that I have now. And then if
Mhm.
I have a referral for an area that's not I don't have a personal, agent in that area, it's really easy with the EXP model to find an agent in that area. It's like a click
Mhm.
of a button and you've got a whole list. And so that's, I like things that make my life easy.
Yeah. When you switched to EXP from your brokerage, was that kind of the game that you had in mind?
When I made the switch, there was 3,000 agents in EXP. There's 90,000 now.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
and I kind of saw this as I had just opened my real estate brokerage and I was paying out all this money. I was branding, I was doing all of this stuff, and I didn't have anyone to talk to. I had a couple of other friends that own their own real estate firms. And so we would kind of talk, but like I felt like they wouldn't tell me everything because we
Mm.
were essentially like competitors. And so I went to at that point it was a shareholders meeting, and that was in 2017 in San Diego. And I literally sat there and I just talked with other agents and they shared so much with me about their systems. They were literally like sharing all of their documents with me and like
Mm.
everything. Like they completely set me up. And I'm like, what am I doing? I need to collaborate with these people. So that's originally why I joined EXP because I just wanted to be able to have someone to talk to that
Mhm.
knew how to run a real estate firm.
Yeah.
And EXP was allowing me to keep my brand as well, which I really wanted to keep at the time. And I
Yeah.
still have it. It's AG Williams Realty. But now it's powered by EXP Realty or brokered by EXP Realty. And so that was kind of the beginning of it. A small portion. I was running some women's real estate investor groups in North Carolina, and a lot of those investors had their license, and so they kept asking to join my real estate brokerage, and I
Mhm.
kept saying no because I didn't want to be responsible because I knew they were wholesaling and they were doing creative financing because I was teaching them creative financing.
A lot of
And I was like,
responsibility
yeah, I don't want to be
and a lot
responsible
of
for that,
liability.
right? And so when I joined EXP, then I was like, oh, they could actually come in with me now at EXP. EXP is responsible. I'm not. I'm
Mhm.
okay with that. And
Yeah.
so that's when I started attracting agents and having agents come in and join my organization. So I don't know, I've had probably 50 or 60, actually like 58 agents join my organization directly. And that's turned
Wow.
into over 200 agents in the organization.
That's amazing. And I think that that's such a great takeaway is sometimes when you are very hyper local and you're not getting outside of your bubble, you're not getting coaching, you're just kind of trying to do it on your own. It's very easy to run into a wall. And I think that no matter what avenue you want to take, I think you need to join something bigger than you. Because when you're around people who aren't your direct competition, they're much more willing to share. And, you know, it, this isn't rocket science. You can adapt different systems in various different wherever you're at. you could have something in Indiana implement in Florida and it works. And I think that the real estate rockstar rap mastermind, that was for me, that thing, because I got to talk to people who were in different markets, had fresh ideas, and have, walked the road before me and can get that advice. And I feel like I can give that back to people too. And together we're better and sharing those ideas and growing, because some of the things that you're teaching, I could do in my market. Like I could do that short-term rental thing. And I think that that's so awesome, but I never would have even thought that was a thing because no one here is doing that. So thank you for kind of trailblazing some of those systems and sharing with us, because that's how we all grow collectively.
Absolutely. And I
Yeah,
love sharing and I love masterminding. And like, that's just definitely one of my favorite things to do. So a friend will come over and we're like, let's whiteboard. And we'll
yeah,
just like start like maniacs, drawing over whiteboards. And it's just so much fun to have someone to bounce stuff off of. And
yeah.
where do you find those people? Where do you find those friends? In mastermind groups, like you're talking about.
Yeah, because the Instagram world, you don't know what's real, what's fake. You don't know if people are legit or not. And until you start having these like honest conversations, and I mean, people are pulling up like their actual numbers and income, and you are like, holy crap, the, there's 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 so much potential out there. It's just tapping into it and finding your niches and riches and all that's the good things. So well, thank you so much. I think some of the big takeaways, I love the talk about passive income versus leverage. I think a lot of people get into real estate and think it's going to be passive. Nothing is really passive until you actually do the work and you mastermind it and you put systems into place. And then it can come off as passive, but there's a lot of work behind the scenes that go into that. And I just love that you've kind of created your own way of doing things. And you're totally outside of the box. You're coloring outside of the lines. And I think that's super inspirational. And I think a lot of our listeners can really find, this is a place that you could get to if you do the work. So I loved it.
Yeah. Oh,
Where can the
thank you.
listeners find you?
I'm super easy to find. I mean, Amanda the Traveling Realtor. You can go to the website, you can Google me. I have a lot of freebies. If you land upon my Instagram page, I have a link tree there. I have tons and tons of stuff on that link tree. Free master classes. I do a live master class actually every month about this. And I have a lot of guides and stuff like that too. So yeah, just go Amanda the Traveling Realtor. I'm easy
Yeah,
to
well, we would
find.
love for you to join our Facebook page. We have like quarterly Zooms, and people bring different values. Like I did one, the last one I did was I just case studied a luxury flip that I bought, went through actual numbers, went through the design, just to kind of show people how to get started, how I financed that, took a HELOC on my house, and just kind of walked through the steps of that. But I think that the more that we, collaborate as a community, we would love to have you come teach, one of the Zooms on one of these topics. It would be awesome. And then we're going to see you at the mastermind too. So come see us, and you can find me at Sarah Denig on Instagram, and we would love to connect. So any last thoughts from you?
I just say go for it, guys. Like if you're listening to this podcast and just like Sarah said, think outside of the box. Don't follow the sheep. Dance to your own drum. You got
All the
this.
things. Go dance in the rain.
Yes.
All right. Well, thank you so much for being on the show today. It was so good, and I can't wait for this one to come out. So I will see you in Austin shortly.
See you soon.
All right, real estate rock stars, have the best day.